Right now, the two biggest economies in the world, the United States and China, are locked in a war, not a war of bombs or bullets, but one of tariffs, supply chains. And silent pressure. Washington says China is cheating the system. Beijing says America is trying to block its rise. But what if this fight isn't new? What if every powerful nation in every era has fought over the same thing? Trade, the flow of goods, of value, of power. To understand this conflict, we need to understand economics itself, where it began, how it evolved, and why, even today, trade can bring peace or spark war. Trade is simple. You have what I need, I have what you want, and we exchange. But as societies grew, trade became more than just survival. It became a tool, a way to build alliances or cut off enemies. From the earliest barter systems, grain for goats, to coins in ancient Mesopotamia, trade let people specialize. One village farms, another makes tools, everyone becomes richer, and with trade came a need to measure value. That's how money was born, not just as paper, but as trust. A shared belief that something has worth. Understanding trade means understanding economics, the science of how we manage scarcity, choices, and incentives. At the heart of economics are a few basic ideas. Supply and demand. When something is rare and wanted, it becomes expensive. Second is opportunity cost. Choosing one thing means giving up another. Third is comparative advantage. Some countries are better at making certain things, so they trade, and both sides win. These ideas explain why countries import goods they can't make cheaply and export what they produce efficiently. Long ago, China sold silk. India sold spices. Arabia sold horses. Europe bought it all. And that trade shaped the ancient world. Later, during colonization, trade routes turned into control routes. Empires didn't just want land, they wanted what was under it. Sugar, gold, oil. Once countries understood the power of trade, they stopped playing fair. In the 1600s, Europe wasn't just trading anymore. It was taking. They called it mercantilism. The idea was simple. Hoard gold, control colonies, sell more than you buy. Empires fought to control trade routes, not just for profit, but for survival, because in those days, if you couldn't trade, you couldn't grow. The British East India Company had its own army. Spain extracted silver from South America. The Dutch fought naval wars for nutmeg. Trade became a tool of empire, and the world became a marketplace carved by cannons. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and everything changed. Factories meant you could produce more, faster, and cheaper. Now, countries didn't just want raw materials, they wanted markets to sell their goods to. Britain became the workshop of the world. America soon followed. Steel, textiles, coal, and eventually oil. To support this boom, new tools emerged. Banks, corporations, stock markets. Trade became less about goods and more about finance. The global economy began to look familiar. Exports, currencies, interest rates, trade deals, but underneath it all, the same old game. Who controls the flow of money controls the world. For most of history, money was simple. Gold, silver, something you could hold. But as the world modernized, that became a problem. You can't grow global economy if your money supply is limited by how much gold you dig up. After 2 world wars shattered the global economy, something had to change. In 1944, 44 nations met in a quiet place called Bretton Woods and agreed to reshape the financial world. Their solution: peg all major currencies to one thing, the American dollar, and the dollar itself, backed by gold at first. This made sense as after World War II, the America was the last economy standing. It held most of the world's gold and most of the world's power, trade, aid, and oil. All started flowing through dollars. In 1971, President Nixon did something radical. He cut the dollar from gold.
I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
The dollar became the world's reserve currency, the backbone of international trade. Even today, 60% of global reserves are in dollars. Most trade deals in dollars, even wars, paid for in dollars. In the late 1970s, China was poor, closed, and recovering from chaos. Then came Deng Xiaoping, and 4 words that changed everything. To get rich is glorious. China opened its economy, invited foreign investment, focused on factories, exports, and scale. Wages were low, labor was plenty, and the world was hungry for cheap goods. By the 2000s, made in China was everywhere, from shoes to smartphones. And while the West was buying, China was building. But here's the twist. America helped make this happen. By giving China access to global trade, it helped lift millions out of poverty and unintentionally created its biggest rival. But the story isn't over. Because this isn't just about economics, it's about identity, systems, and who shapes the future. And in this silent war of trade, one thing is certain. The side with the strongest economy doesn't need to fire a single shot. If this gave you a new way to see the world, like, comment, and subscribe. Follow Crumbs for more stories that connect the past to power.